Welcome to Trekosophy, the Star Trek philosophy podcast. Joining us in the studio today, our fearless leader. There's an unmanned runaway out-of-control train, and he's the only one who can stop it. It's Ben McLean.
Is there anyone tied to the tracks?
Not yet, no, but soon, probably. That'll be the sequel. Also joining us, our tech guru. He's going around killing other super-powered people and stealing their powers. It's Chris McGee.
Hold still while I cut your hood open and figure out how it works.
And our chief engineer and our connoisseur of all spirits. He's going to make it to that bar no matter how many zombies are in his way. It's Brandon Kirby.
I'm holding still for Chris.
And I am Bill Allen, a.k.a. the guy in the red shirt, and this is Trekosophy.
Woohoo!
This is...
Every time you say that, it sounds like you're the announcer for Jeopardy.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. I just... That was one of my favorite intros, too. Now entering the studio are today's contestants.
Yeah.
That was an unreal intro, now that I think about it.
The music synced up. Everything was perfect. But anywho, today, well, I've dragged everybody back for turning a one-part episode into a two-part episode because I need a nice long rant about what I thought was probably the worst thing about this movie, even though it was probably the best thing about this movie, and the odd dichotomy or whatever that is involved with that. And that would be the villain of this story. Okay. Should I start my rant?
Knock her socks off.
Should I?
If you don't, you'll never will.
This will be
so-
freeform. We're not
Alright.
going to do it, structured like we did last time. This is just totally freeform.
All right. Okay. All right. This was probably the stupidest choice they could have done for a villain. I mean, Khan was a classic story. We had Space Seed. We had Star Trek II. It's been done. And it was done right. Twice. You don't need to do it a third time. Half the point of this whole elaborate setup of theirs where they've altered history, quote unquote, is so that they can go and do brand new stories and you have no idea what's happened because they've changed history. So what's the first thing you do? We're going to go retrace our steps right back through what we've already done. I mean, there were so many. If you're going to remake a classic episode, remake one of the terrible ones that just didn't work. Don't remake the stories that were actually iconic and fit and did it right. Because all you're going to do, even if, yes, Mr. Cumberbatch, you did an excellent job as Khan, even though you didn't have the same kind of suave sophistication and that elegance and that charisma that Ricardo Montalban had. You were basically...
He was too intense.
He had the intensity, and they did well with the whole Kirk versus Khan fight. It was nice seeing Kirk try to knock somebody out who just didn't even flinch. But, I mean, it's like watching when Vince Vaughn did the Psycho remake. You don't have the right quality to play this character. You're too intense. You went straight to evil, which is fine for the fans, because we all know Khan's evil. He killed Spock. He blew up a hole. He tried to kill Kirk's son. He's a horrible guy. We know we know Khan's the villain. But for new fans coming on, part of what makes it work is Khan was just a darn nice guy who was displaced in time back when he got his start. Him and Kirk actually sat down for a nice civilized meal together, and everybody was getting along swimmingly. And he slowly started doing the shady, sly, underhanded dealings. He didn't just come out, I am Khan. Now let me crush everybody's head.
Okay, before you continue, I've got two things to say about what you've already stated. One is that, first of all, you don't even know that this villain is Khan until like halfway or two-thirds even, maybe halfway through the film. So, I mean, all you know is he's John Harrison, I think.
Yeah, and that was...
Second of all, the I agree with you halfway about they're retreading places they've already been. Yeah, we've already been with Khan. We've already had the whole revenge thing, but this is a new twist on it in that it's not Khan taking revenge against Kirk for something he did in the past to him. This is a new-ish story, just with the same old players. That's where I do agree with you. They could have come up with new villains. They could have easily replaced Khan with some other guy, maybe not a superhuman, but give him some sort of aspect that, he could resist all, and fight very well or something. I don't know. But they could have easily replaced Khan with someone else, I think.
Yeah, they could have made him John Harrison of Section 31 and had them be doing the shady dealing from the get-go.
And he has, some experimental drugs in him or something. I don't know.
Right. Because, I'm big on watching teaser trailers and regular trailers and all the little gossip bits. And it's like that was one of the first internet rumors about a week after the original Star Trek opened up. The sequel's going to be Khan. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, please don't. Please don't. And it was a divided fan base. There were people who really, really, really wanted to see Khan, but they weren't really fans of the original series to begin with, or else they wouldn't have wanted to take the best movie and mess with it. They would have wanted to see the motion picture get remade and have V'ger be made cool and entertaining and exciting. And then, it's going to be Khan. Then you get some teasers and you get some trailers and it's going to be Khan, but it's not going to be Khan. He tries to keep it a secret. There was an early on trailer where they had that scene where Khan says, "I'm better than you." Better at what? Better at everything. And it's like, damn it, it's Khan. They're going to do Khan. I don't want them to do Khan. And then the later trailers came out. Oh, he's one of ours. He's a Starfleet operative gone rogue. We've got to capture John Harrison. And I'm like, good. They're not doing Khan. This gives me hope. And
yeah.
It's like when you took the fourth Indiana Jones movie and you have Indiana Jones fighting Russians instead of Nazis. That was just really stupid. Come on. Boys from Brazil has won a ton of awards. They know there's Nazis in South America in the 50s. He could have fought Nazis even if it was the 1950s.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have 4 things to say that I've stacked up about the 4 points you've made.
Okay, go ahead.
First, you said they ought to remake bad episodes. I'm like, what? Okay, if you want to have a remake is heavily dependent on the original being good. There's been a lot of remakes that have good source material and have been bad. And then there have been remakes that have had bad source material. Those have been really bad. So,
This is half true, but if you look at Star Trek, the original series,
if you're gonna do a remake, you want good source material. Is what I'm saying. Now, that might be a good idea. Remake some of the cheesy TOS episodes to be actually more thought-provoking and updated, and the remake could be better than the original some of the time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sure, they could do that. That's a good idea and all. But generally speaking, you want good source material for a remake. The second thing is about the reboot. I think that the direction this film took was influenced by a lot of the people who didn't like the first film. And I think they were trying to go back and bring in some of those people. I really liked this film better than the first film in 2009, really. Except for Dr. McCoy, who I thought was better in the first film. Just about everybody else is doing better in this one. The third one, Khan. About Khan, well, I think there were good plot reasons for why Khan was handled the way he was. Assuming we're going to have a Khan movie, I understand what you're saying there. Why not do something new instead of do a remake at all? But assuming we're going to remake Khan, I think the way it was handled in the script was actually fairly well, because we don't find out it's Khan until fairly late in the movie, and that old movie where Khan is the bad guy is fairly iconic. I mean, The Wrath of Khan is in the title. I mean, people are going to know it's the bad guy as soon as they say it. So if they want a suspense, reveal of the bad guy, they can't say his name. So as soon as they say his name, the jig's up. So, they'd have to come up with a new villain to be suspense, because that sort of thing only works like once. So I think the way they did it in the script was pretty good. I thought that we find out we know he's a bad guy as soon as his name comes up. Really. And what was the fourth issue? All right, Indiana Jones. The reason the fourth Indiana Jones movie sucked, I think, was aliens. Indiana Jones did not need aliens. I thought that the idea of Indiana Jones fighting communists was actually pretty cool. That's what Captain America did. Captain America fought the Nazis, and then when the Nazis stopped being relevant, he fought communists. No, that's what Superman did. Captain America, though, also had the whole Hydra thing, but that's been done so much. We haven't had a good commie fighting movie in a while. So I liked that aspect of the Indiana Jones 4. Though overall, it was a really sucky film. It had aliens. It had gratuitous nonsense in it, and yeah.
There were several things wrong with Indiana Jones 4, not just him fighting the Russians, but yeah, that was him fighting the Russians was one of them, because it's like they just kind of phoned it in. It's like they spent 45 minutes of this movie reminding us, hey, it's the 1950s. Here's another cheesy 50s reference. And it includes making the bad guys. I mean, that's why they did it. There was no real significance to the plot of making the bad guys Russians. It's one of those things that drives me crazy, because these guys can tell good stories and they don't.
Well, I thought that the Hulls and Transformers kid, what's his name? It seemed
Sheila
like
Booth.
Yeah, it seemed like he had no business being in the movie. Wait, how is what we're saying going over the top? What?
It's going off track. We're talking about Indiana Jones now instead of Star Trek Into Darkness.
We're veering off course, yes.
Okay.
So back to Khan. I mean, no,
well, hang on. Did you hit all your 4 points there, Ben, or was that the third one?
Yeah, that was the 4 points. Yeah, it was remakes, reboots, Khan, and Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's like, but that's my point. There were, as far as using good source material to tell a good story. When the original series came out, there was no source material. They were making it up on the fly, and a lot of it is choppy. I mean, we've mentioned it from time to time. They've got a dozen writers with a dozen stories, and sometimes the idea is good, the delivery is flat. Sometimes the characters act in a way that fits the story but doesn't fit the character. I mean, in one episode, Kirk is happy-go-lucky, laid-back, easygoing, I don't play by the rules kind of guy. And in the next episode, he's Captain Bligh. I gave you an order, mister. You'll follow it or I'll throw you in the brig. It's like there was that lack of consistency because there was no source material and they were making up as they go along. Now we've got
Kirk-sophronia.
Yeah. And we got 50 years of source material now, so we can do it right. And with the source material we have that they didn't have back then, you can look at something that was made without really consulting the source material, and let's make it interesting. Let's make it cool. There were episodes where the basic premise, the little one-line teaser about the episode, sounds like an interesting episode, and the episode itself was just stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things they could do that, I mean, it would probably drive people crazy, but there are plenty of little dangling plot threads that never got addressed anywhere. Let's see what happened to the gangster planet after they remade themselves in Star Trek's image. Let's see what happened.
They should totally do that. They should have a hip-hop updated gangster piece of the action planet. That'd be awesome.
Something
I
happened to them. Did you guys catch the reference in Deep Space Nine to the card game Fizbin?
they did a
Oh
reference
yeah,
to
that
this-
was
oh yeah.
one time that happened. But I
Yeah.
forget the context. What was it?
Quark, I think, offered to show Odo the game Fizbin at one point. And I don't remember the context of the conversation. I just remember it was between those two. So it made me think there was something that happened to the planet. Now, I don't know if they could do that with the premise that they're going by with these movies. Because with these movies, it's a prequel. It's a remake of the Star Trek, the original series.
Well, the next film is going to be on the 5-year mission, we hope. So it would be interesting to say for that little 15-minute or the little 5-minute teaser lead-in, they do some action-packed, thrilling ending to a classic episode. They remake the big finale of a classic episode as their teaser opening. Something where the fans will say, "Oh, they're on that planet," whereas other people saying, "Oh, cool, this is a cool chase scene to open up with." You know, just enough to tell them what-
Trouble is, all the planets on Star Trek look the same.
Well, that's another thing you could punch up. I mean, they give you the name of the planet from the get-go. They called this one Nibiru, which sounded vaguely familiar to me, but Nibiru was that's the end of the world 2012 doomsday planet Death Star that's coming towards us or something that didn't get here.
Yeah.
What would you guys like to see in the third movie if you could pick one episode?
Oh dear.
I'd like to see them do the one where they are the Tholian web. Yeah.
Think yes.
The
Oh,
Tholian
that was a
web
very
slow.
slow-moving episode.
And it really, I mean, as slow-moving as it was, they could have gotten out and pushed the Enterprise out of that web in time.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
That was one of those things that just never sat right with me. I mean, the Enterprise is not a rock. They can.
Well,
So let's see.
Well, I thought they had to stay where they were because Kirk kept appearing as a ghost or something, wasn't it?
I think that was
yeah.
it.
But that was like halfway through. After, I mean, the Tholians showed up, and then Kirk got zapped. I thought maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but
Of course, they could use the Tholian web as one plot element in a larger story.
yeah, I mean that's what I mean. That's because I mean the special effects back then were just so slow. I would like to see Romulans. And not evil future space Romulans. Show us the war with the Klingons. Show us the war with the Romulans. Show us some of that old school. Because we've had 5 minutes of Klingons and we had Romulans from the future. But, I mean, show us the rest of the universe. Show us.
They could go into why the TOS Klingons didn't have the head bridges.
That was an Enterprise.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that
they
was,
mentioned it, but they didn't really.
And that
did they?
whole,
I forget.
yeah,
they
that whole
completely
genetic
explained it,
engineering super virus, that needs to be retconned away in a hurry. Thank you very much.
What? Well, it's the
brother-
only thing that I can think of that makes sense for why the Klingons would look different.
I'd
See,
like
I
to
always
see-
figured what they would say is like the Federation is made of many different races. The Klingon Empire is made of many different races, and the flat four-headed ones subjugated the working class Klingons and made them slaves for 100 years or so, and until the noble warriors freed themselves and had an uprising.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
That
would
doesn't
make
work
more
because
I don't want to take us too off track, but I do want to say that they should have just left it with Worf's explanation.
We don't like to
Don't
talk
talk-
about it.
With outsiders. Exactly. Just
Yeah.
leave it at that. But no. But anyway.
I
thought it
thought
was
that I don't blame Enterprise too bad for that. But man, you're making me depressed because now I'm thinking, oh wow, Enterprise is still in canon, isn't it? For the new movies. Wow, that sucks.
And there's a lot of things that need to be
Yeah.
uncanon for Enterprise. The encounter with the Borg, the encounter with
Yes.
the Ferengi. I mean, come on.
Okay, we don't need to get into
But
Enterprise.
no, that's my point. I mean, that was one of the big problems with Enterprise, too. They had the opportunity to tell clever new stories
And they just
and at the same time tell us old stories. It started out so well. Here's how we met the Andorians. Gee, they really don't like us very much, do they? And over the course of time, they earned respect. But somehow they went from giving us details about a story we never really thought of or just took for granted and fleshing it out and making something of it to, hey, what was a cool thing we liked from some other show? Let's throw it in this show. This week we're having Borg. You can't have Star Trek without Borg.
Yeah. About the Tholian web in the third movie, I remember the Tholian web with that gradually creeping web was actually done really well. That had a mounting suspense to it. It would teach this schizophrenic dubstep listening generation that's watching these movies that there is more than one kind of pacing to a film. Maybe get a little bit less Arnold Schwarzenegger and a little bit more Alfred Hitchcock, you know?
That would be nice, but you don't want to go too Alfred Hitchcock because, I mean, you slow things to a crawl and you end up going.
Oh,
no.
yeah. I said a little bit.
Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, that's my point. There are things, because that was just, I mean, Castolian Web, clever idea, but a little too slow because they hadn't even finished making the web by the time the episode ended, which means they had just enough time to save Kirk, warp out, do their super fast last minute blitzkrieg. Oh, we've only got 5 minutes left. Let's hurry up and solve everything. Where they're sitting there basically twiddling their thumbs for the whole hour of the show. You know, the pacing was all wrong because these are the clever best of the best guys. Make the Tholian Web the 5-minute intro to the next movie, and then splash across Star Trek, and then bring up the new adventure. You know.
Well, what I think would be a good idea would be, well, Tholian Web is slow. I mean, it is, but it's suspense instead of action. What we've had is action, 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 action. You know, and with barely enough pause to figure out why we're doing any of it. And so I just thought a little bit more cerebral and complicated situation needing to be resolved while the Tholians are encasing the ship would actually, you know, be interesting to see as part of the main movie. I would like to see them interacting with the gangster planet as the intro to the film.
Well, you won't see that in J.J. Abrams' verse, I'll tell you that.
Oh, come on, why not? That'd be funny.
Because he doesn't do slow building suspension.
I know. Yeah, they'd have to get rid of Abrams. I hate
so, as far as what I would like to see in the third film, let's see travel back in time to rescue whales. Oh, that's already been done. Never mind. Actually, you know, I'm not particularly keen on it, but I know one thing that might actually work is somehow, I don't know how, but somehow went off into the mirror universe in the old style, you know, TOS style or Enterprise style, not DS9 style, which sucked.
I don't think you'll see that because
DS9 mirror.
I did too, but I don't think you'll see that because we've had too much alternate universe stuff go on already. It's just adding another.
Yeah, let's add another one to it. JJ would do that probably though.
Right now.
Yeah. See, I thought what would make a good plot for the second movie would have been the Guardian of Forever. Only instead of having McCoy being the one mucking about in time accidentally, it's Spock who. He's still a little torn up by the fact his mom died, so he figures if he can jump back and he jumps back to Earth, he's going to try to alter Earth's history so that Vulcan doesn't blow up by putting things in motion 100 years in the past, and that's what they've got to stop.
Maybe he'll try to stop first contact with the Vulcans.
Something.
Even more emo Spock? Didn't Spock have enough emo in this film?
Yeah. We're done
but I mean, it would have given him proper closure and rounded it off because by the end of the second movie, Kirk and McCoy save Spock, and then they're like, okay, I'm over it. It sucked. I've grieved. I'm going to be a proper Vulcan for a little while because that's how I roll. And you would have that nice little cemented relationship that they just barely sort of hinted at in the last 30 seconds of the original or the first film. You know, it's like this one seemed to take 2 steps back and then 3 steps forward to get just a little bit further down the line for them being what they were.
Well, here's one. Maybe they could do a plot where Kirk has to make a computer blow up by talking it to death.
They'll probably work in a reference to that somewhere because he
sure
did
they
that.
will.
Yeah, make that the 5-minute teaser. But no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do an old story, don't do one of the best and try to, because you're not going to make it better. You're just going to make it good, but different, and you're wasting everybody's time. You built an alternate universe so you could do something new and unique, not... You don't mess with a classic. It's like...
Have them meet the Binars. That'd be cool. Have them meet the Binars. I always want to bring the Binars back into Star Trek.
An alien race that is common in the Next Generation, introduce them as a first contact situation in these movies.
Yeah.
The Binars, the Bolians. Every ship's got a Bolian now. There weren't many Bolians in the old series, were there?
There's even a Bolian in the video games. I just turned on Star Trek Elite Force 2 the other day. I never did finish it, so I was going to start over and actually try and finish it. And yeah, it's got a Bolian as one of the main characters. Main secondary characters.
But that's like, I mean, New Con, he's like New Coke, okay? We have Coke Classic. You don't need New Coke. I'm sure it tastes fine. Tastes a lot like Pepsi. And, you know, when you're in a mood for Pepsi, you'll drink a Pepsi. When you're in a mood for Coke, you want a frickin' Coke. If you're going to give us something, give us Cherry Coke. Give us that weird Diet Coke with lime so that you're adding a flavor, not changing something that works the way it works, you know?
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see them go back in time and make a third Con movie. No, I'm just screwing with you. Just trying to tick Bill off.
Yeah, like in Back
Kirby!
where they visit the same places again. Oh man. What was the weirdest aliens we've ever met in Star Trek as First Contact?
The Horta.
Yeah, they could redo something about the Horta, maybe.
Salt vampire.
I'd like to see Balance of Terror revisited.
Which one was that? Remind me. One of the war ones.
Kirk was fighting the Romulan commander. You meet the Romulans for the first time.
Oh yeah, except haven't we already met the Romulans in this one? We have, haven't we?
We've referenced them, but we haven't really fought them yet. But yeah, that was the big giant plasma torpedo.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise can outrun a fast-moving plasma torpedo. Can't outrun a slow-moving Tholian web.
Here's an idea. We could have an episode where they have first contact with the Cardassian Empire.
Oh.
See, that'd be a good story. You know, give us... I mean, if you're going to do it in a way that doesn't muck with continuity. For example, there damn well better not be a Borg anywhere in these J.J. Abrams movies.
You know
that's what they'll do.
Some way to worm it in.
That's what they're going to do. I almost feel like betting you guys money that the next movie is going to be the new Kirk fights the Borg.
Or they might have like some obscure reference to it, like the reference to Mutt.
No, I'm betting. What I'm thinking
they'll mention
is
something about, you know, that cybernetic race that we met last week. Well, they blah blah blah, you know, and it'll just be shoved aside.
Yeah, that's
No. They're not going to do that. I think that the Borg are probably going to be the main enemy of this new movie, the next movie.
Or worse yet, they'll actually be part of the crew.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You saw that, did you? That was like,
Yeah.
I liked 7 of 9 on Voyager.
We're talking about the android cyborg on the Into Darkness crew.
Yeah, they'll probably have just Data. They'll just call him Data.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is Data anyway?
Well,
He'll be a cadet, and he'll be Cadet Data.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be just a few years older than Wesley.
Yeah, chronologically, he'd only been activated for like 15 years when.
Oh, I know. They could get Brent Spiner to play Noonien soon.
Again,
Yeah.
yes. Let's not. Get away from Enterprise. What they should
We
do.
don't need to keep bringing in these original actors. Separate yourselves from the old crew. Stick with what you've got. If you can't make it work, you're not going to make it work at all.
Right. I mean, it's nice to have a throwback reference here and there, and they did.
I didn't say they should
right,
do that. I just said they probably will.
If you're gonna do the Borg, they should rip off the plot that was used in one of the Shatnerverse novels, where it turns out, no, at some point in the future, the Borg, right after Kirk dies at the end of Generations, the Borg sweep in, beam out his body, use Borg nanites to bring him back to life, and program him to be an assassin and convince him that Captain Picard and that crew is evil and needs to be destroyed.
Yeah, that was a totally crazy book.
Spock, the thing
fun.
that did it is, this was when they were trying to tie together the original series and the Next Generation by making relationships, like they did with Q and his relationship with Trelane and other things like that. But Spock's mind meld with V'ger changed him mentally a little bit. So when he's walking around in the Borg cube, they don't try to assimilate him because they think he's already Borg, because V'ger is related to the Borg.
Yeah, V'ger was like a proto-Borg or something like that.
That was something they said, which kind of goes against what they said about what V'ger was. But it would be how they would do the tie-in. Make it a V'ger story, and oh yeah, V'ger creates the Borg after he fuses with Decker to become this half-man, half-machine in search of ultimate perfection of God or whatever.
The Shatnerverse didn't make particularly much sense, but the characters are well written. The characters
are well written, and some of those little plot points are clever. So that's how, if they're going to do Borg, it better be V'ger is grandfather of the Borg.
There was a great part in one of the Shatner books where Scotty hijacks the Yorktown. That was just too much fun. I wish they'd make that into a movie. Just that part. Scotty hijacks the Yorktown.
Which one was the Yorktown?
It was a ship that was the same class as the original Enterprise, and in the Shatnerverse, it's turned into a museum. But it's still a working model. And so Scotty needs to go to the rescue of the good guys, but Starfleet says no. So he goes to the museum and uses his knowledge of engineering to hijack the Yorktown and make this super old ship come to the rescue. It's just too much
When is Starfleet ever going to learn you don't say no to any of the Enterprise crew members?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that part was really... That by itself redeems the Shatnerverse in my estimation.
All right, well, we still got a little time left.
Cool.
Anything else we want to... Any more...
Oh, yeah. If they're going to do the Borg at all, they're going to make it the main subject of a movie. It's like the Joker. You don't have your Batman series and just have an, offhand reference to the Joker and then move on to talk about Two-Face. No. If you're going to do the Joker, he's going to be the main subject of your movie. And it's the same thing with the Borg in Star Trek. The Borg are... the Borg have a big price tag on them. If you do them, they're going to be the main subject of whatever it is you're doing. Are you guys there? Hello?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, we've got to do a Geordi and Hugh episode.
What? Oh, yeah. Remake Hugh.
Well, we've got to do that on our show.
What? How? What do you mean? Oh, do a Hugh episode about Hugh on Trekosophy. Okay. Sure, we can do that. Did we have our Borg episode generally yet?
Yeah,
I think we did.
We did one about Borg as the horror movie ultimate monster thing.
Oh, right. I was talking about why the Borg are scary, and yeah, okay.
Oh, no, maybe you were there. Okay.
That was our Halloween special.
Uh-huh. I came in
Oh, yeah.
halfway through on that one. And I basically said, they're not freaking scary. They're
why did I piss
zombies,
my
that's all they
pants?
are.
That might
That
have
was
more
just
to do with
me.
the drinking, Brandon.
I scared you. Well, and that too. You
But,
want to bring down the hammer on Kirk anymore, Bill? I mean, not Kirk, but Khan.
Man, yeah, I'll say this. I mean, no. Well, I've had time to calm down since then. I should have just fired off this rant on that first episode and wrecked the first episode, and it within 20 minutes of going, Khan, why Khan? Really? What were you thinking? I mean, J.J. Abrams, I know Ben doesn't like him, but he does good movies. I mean,
I don't like him on. No, I don't like him on Star Trek. What other movies has he
Cloverfield.
done? I haven't
Cloverfield
even seen that one.
was a great rebirth of your Godzilla type movie. Because of Cloverfield, we're now getting Pacific Rim.
What would it have been like if the Star Trek had been directed by Christopher Nolan?
You would have gotten a nice slow motion scene of Captain Pike getting burned and put in that chair. And,
Yeah.
it would have been lots of slow motion shots of Kirk staring out the window with a brooding look on his face, doing that noir narration into his captain's log. I know he's out there, and I'm going to find him.
Yeah, except that we would have had fewer lens flares.
The lens flares don't bother me so much. That's pretty much par for the course in every film these days. As the tech evolves, it's going to evolve. They'll
I
move
can
away
deal
from
with the
it.
shaky cam, just not the lens flares.
And they do. I mean, he does shaky cam really well because even on classic Star
Shaky
Trek,
cam's
that's
fine.
what they used to do.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Because they couldn't build the whole set on gimbals, so they would do shaky cam, and they said, "Everybody move in your chair like we're being shook around," and it worked. And he does it really well.
And what's the director that's known for having the doves fly out all the time during a dramatic entrance or whatever? Is that John Woo, I think?
Yeah, John Woo's big on slow motion birds.
Yeah.
And everybody's packing two guns at once and twirling around ballet style while they're shooting at everything.
Wait, that was in The Matrix.
Oh, don't get me started on how horrible the Matrix
Yeah, let's
What
not.
the heck? If you don't
It
like
is-
The Matrix,
no.
I don't give you much of
He
this on
struck
your.
a chord here with Bill.
The Matrix was good, but people read way too much into it, and it's like, okay, the first one, clever little hook, reality isn't real, we're all stuck in VR. It's a remake of Tron.
No, it's not.
In so
This
many
is
ways,
not a remake
Tron
of
is the
Tron.
grandfather of where you're
Tron-
in the computer simulation, and if you die there, you die for real kind of thing. It's
Tron-
a morphing
Tron might have
between.
been one of the many inspirations, but have you seen Ghost
Yes.
in the Shell?
Yes, I mean there were a bunch of them.
Kirby, I'm sorry we're leaving you out. We just don't have a whole lot of
I do have a question
philosophical
for
things
Kirby.
to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel sorry for leaving you guys. I just don't have a whole lot of movie knowledge to.
I do have one question for Kirby to close us out, though.
Kirby hears you.
I know you said that last week I halfway or most of the way talked you into accepting New Trek by my little Treknobabble solution of having the temporal Cold War agents fix everything.
Right.
What would it take for Mr. Abrams to get you to accept New Trek? What do you want to see them do in the next movie? To
Die?
redeem
No.
itself.
That would
Die
prove-
and stay
Yeah,
dead.
let's prove J.J. Abrams is human.
Are you sure?
You guys, you're total fans.
No, what would you say? What would give it that Star Trek flavor to it?
What would make you accept it and say, okay, this is Trek. It's not my favorite Trek, but I accept it as part of the Star Trek. I'll watch it and enjoy it.
I don't recall I don't recall all the things that I had said last week about the movie as to why I didn't like it. I didn't like
it. Was that sticky feeling under your seat, if I remember right.
Okay, that sounds about right. I didn't really like emo Spock, so if they gave him more of a Stellic feel rather than a Bieber feel, I'd be up for that.
Spock's gotta, find his emotional balance. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'd enjoy that sort of thing. What else didn't I like about the movie? The timeline. Well, that's a tricky one. Once it's been done, it's tough to undo it. Maybe if there's a new Star Trek TV show that came out, that would they might be able to remedy that. However, that being said,
we are coming up on the 50th anniversary pretty soon. 3 more years.
Well, not too. It's not that far off. That being said, what I think of when I think of Star Trek isn't something that would have the box office appeal. I don't think if they were to make something whereby somebody uses a rational thought process with a scientific mindset to overcome some sort of a dilemma, I can't see that being a huge hit. And so I don't think, and I don't, I wouldn't even want them to write a movie like that. A TV show, yes, but maybe not a movie. So I'm not sure that I have the remedy for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that primarily belongs on television. You've got a point there.
I think they could do it though. I think they could give you that use your brain to solve the mystery thing in this third movie. Now they've suckered you in with the action, so now it's like, oh, now they're going to hit you with the 1-2 punch, and it's going to be, oh, this movie's actually deep. Because I know it risks throwing us off topic again, but that's what went so. He did Lost, which started out good, and then he got distracted by 5 other different projects.
He does movies with ADD, and Star Trek was not made to have ADD.
Star Trek, I like that. Yeah. I like the way you said that.
Speaking of, it says man typing away over there.
I disagree, because J.J. Abrams did Lost. He can do slow, and he can do thinking man's fair. I mean,
the point is, Abrams did Lost. He could do something deeper if he wanted to, but he doesn't.
Basically, yeah. So don't sell him short on the movies just yet.
And of course, be aware, television shows, you got a bunch of hours to tell your story, so you can make it slow-paced. The movie, You only got 2.5 hours. You're going to have to really cram it in, so it almost has to be much more fast-paced. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So we're all still going to go see the third movie no matter what he does to it, right?
Yeah.
We're Trekkies, of course we are.
So he can't really, there's nothing he can do to really ruin the franchise. It's going to make money.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. The people who are on a podcast called Trekosophy are going to go see the new Star Trek films, whatever they are. Whether general audiences will, that's another question. That really, our going doesn't really tell them anything, because they know they've got the hardcore Star Trek fans no matter what they do. They could make Enterprise.
Well, I think we may have. If we've exhausted your complete repertoire of hatred, Bill, then go ahead and wrap this up. All right, well, I think that's all we have to say on Star Trek Into Darkness. Thanks for listening. You can visit our website anytime, Trekosophy.com. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter. Send us an email at trekosophy@gmail.com. And check us out in iTunes. And please leave us a review. We definitely read them, and we'll see what we can do to take your suggestions and criticism, constructive criticism, to heart. Send us some
JJ
listener
Abrams.
questions. We definitely could use some more ideas for topics on future shows. Join us next week. And for Brandon Kirby, Bill Allen, Ben McLean, I'm Chris McGee. And we'll see you next time.
And somewhere right now, somebody's saying, Captain, I'm trying to clear up the interference and pick up this signal, but I can't. They seem to be using a technology called Skype. Very primitive.
This was absolutely the stupidest choice they could have made for a.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, did we lose
All that
sound?
trouble. This
Yeah, Skype's giving us crap.
elaborate.
Hold
Yeah.
up, Bill.
Bill, you have to start all over.
You sound like Bill Shatner.
Bill is imitating Bill unintentionally.
Elaborate. Villain.
A little Pepsi is good with the Royal Crown.
Don't pollute it. That's a sin.
Hey, we're Americans. We can sin if we want to.
Was the zombie guy taken?
That's Simon
Yeah,
Pegg.
Kirby's got that.
Oh,
I'm a zombie.
Now we need some hold music. Cue some hold music. And of course, they did this on purpose, because everybody knows IRS people like Star Wars. And so, of course, they're going to parody Star Trek so that Star Trek gets mud in its face from this video.
All right, I gotta go tell my wife I don't like her.
And by telling her you don't like her, you're actually going to go into the bedroom and do unspeakable things to her.
X2L calling CQ. 2X2L calling CQ. Is anybody there? Is anyone there?